the nitty-gritty. Conversations get real live, it's time for the nitty-gritty. The revolution's not televised, it's time for the nitty-gritty. Reaching out to your conscious mind, it's time for the nitty-gritty. More than talking, we taking action, it's time for the nitty-gritty.
IG, we up. YouTube, we up. Facebook, we up. And Wale rapping. 202 stand up, DC all day. Redskins gotta win. Yeah. If y'all wonder what we listening to, this is Wale, his new album. Wow, that's crazy. The song is Love and Loyalty featuring Manny Wells, Afrobeats artist. I like it. This bug hit. Shout out HU, Howard University homecoming was this weekend. A lot of festivities was going on. Shout out Howard. Y'all had Kanye West out there doing Sunday service on Saturday. Nice bit of Afrobeats, you know, Zumba song right here. Getting ready to get started at 8 p.m. y'all. If you're wondering who we're listening to, this is Wale off his new album, Wow, That's Crazy. The song is Love and Loyalty, featuring Manny Wells. Dope track. Shout out all my Nigerians out there, all my Ghanaians. Yeah. Yeah, that's a hot. If y'all don't know, that just came out this past Friday. That's a hot little track right there. Y'all might want to check that joint out. Look, it's your boy, Jay Costa.
It is your girl, Catman.
And together we are the Nitty Gritty. Look, we here today. We got a pretty packed show. We got a lot of information, a lot of ground to cover. So this should be fun. Definitely going to want your involvement today. And obvious that we're going to have to talk about. So, of course, y'all know young lady Atatiana. I think I said her name right. Atatiana was killed in her home this past weekend by police. This was in Fort Worth. For you guys that know Texas, Fort Worth and Dallas is like practically the same area. And like Dallas, what's going on? You know, like come on, like y'all cops is wild, and we're gonna definitely get into that. You know, definitely prayers and blessings to the family. But you know, I'm getting tired of saying prayers and blessings and thoughts to the families. We need some corrective action. All right, Amber Geigers is one, and we're gonna go into some of the stats of all this. Someone else you guys should follow is Dr. Rashawn Ray.
Yeah.
He has a lot of great, impactful studies that he's been doing through the sociology department there at the University of Maryland. He has such a wealth of knowledge. We gotta have Dr. Rashawn back up again because he has so much information regarding that. So I'll be probably quoting some of his stats as well. Also, we want to talk about people overacting to movies, probably especially the Christian community. You know, so you know, shout out Joker. We'll be talking about that. And then last but not least, well, I shouldn't say last, but we're definitely going to talk about this idea of people that ruin movies and shows via social media. Come on, y'all, it's childish. We're going to get into that. And if we got time, we got some stuff about relationships and expectations. If we don't get to it, we'll just have a really big relationship episode next week.
Let's get into the details of, is it Atatiana?
I think it's, I don't want to say her name wrong. I think it's, I'm trying to say it, I think it's Atatiana. I'm saying her name like all wrong. We'll get to it.
Okay.
So anyways, I'm gonna, if somebody knows how to say it properly, please let me know because I want to give proper respects to Miss Jefferson. I believe her last name is Jefferson. So, you know, definitely, I don't want to keep on saying her name wrong. But let's get down to the details of what happened, all right? So, with this situation right here, a neighbor called police to do a wellness check on her home because her door was open, right?
Her door was wide open, I guess.
I don't know if it was wide open, but the door was open.
Okay.
So
that seems like a reasonable...
So they're like, hey, can you do a wellness check?
Okay.
You know, whatever, right? Neighbor called. The neighbor also, this came in later, but stated like there was nothing about the call to 911 that would lead the police to believe that this was a burglary, that there was something criminal going on. They made it very clear when they called for the wellness check, it was just a simple, hey, can you make sure they're okay, kind of thing. So if anything, what should have been considered is more so a health concern than a burglary type situation, all right? Based off what the neighbor is reporting. All right, so neighbor asked to do a wellness check. All right, so the police, for those that seen the video, it's hard to watch. The police officer that shoots Miss Jefferson, his body cam is on. Now he commanded her to show her hands. Mind you, he's looking through the window and it's dark, right? He's looking through the window. He says, show your hands, show your hands. And right after he says, show your hands, pow, pow, he shoots. So even if she was wanting to show your hands, first of all, you would be startled. And then two, now you're shot through the window. And then for those that see the video, I'm not making this up, there was not enough time to respond to the show your hands. It was show your hands, pow, pow. At what point, if someone's give you a command, did you even have a chance to adhere to the command? Right? Second thing was that, you know, this use of force situation. We talked about this last week, and it's a shame because we're having to talk about it again. Simona, what's up, girl? We got to have you back soon. We talking about relationships next week, so you got to be here. All right? I'm telling you, you're going to be here. But, so, once again, we talked about this last week, about this use of force, and it's just crazy that they're always so quick to pull this trigger, and this is a real problem. You know, we have another person dead again, right? And I just don't understand how the police keep on getting this wrong. Kat, what was your initial thoughts?
Well, my thought was, if they're asking you to do a wellness check, my initial thought was, did the neighbor give the police a good information like, hey, my neighbor is black, she's a woman, I don't know if this woman lives by herself, but like just some facts like that. You know, her front door was open, I'm wondering if everything is okay, yada, yada, yada. I just feel like there are too many police officers that always use the excuse of I was fearful for my life, or something just seems dangerous. But my thing is, this is the field that you are in. This is the profession that you are in. So if that is the case, perhaps this is not the right profession for you, because police duty is definitely dangerous. Police duty is definitely going to be
Lana, what's up?
You're going to be in a lot of intense situations. So for me, I just don't use that excuse as a reason to kill people, especially not to shoot that they're dead, like body shots. I thought if the police's job was to disarm someone in the event they are dangerous or consider a menace to society of that such. So my thing is, why not shoot in the leg and the arm? And
well, they're not going to shoot in the leg and the arm because they are you're trained to shoot center mass, period.
Okay.
So therefore, that's why instead of pulling out a gun, you have a baton, you have a taser. There's all these different things that could be employed, right? I mean, if you look at the belt of a police officer, it looks like Batman. There's all these different trinkets and things they have. Pepper spray. You have just all this stuff at your, disposal. There's no need to do that. Simona said it's because we black. You got that right.
Well, yeah, and the thing that just kills me.
Oh, it's the McKinneys together. That's what's up. I love that.
Hey, y'all. The thing that kills me is the fact that she was in the comfort of her own home, and here yet again, police go ahead and just shoot someone in their own home. And so it's like, at this point, as black people, do we just not even call the police if we feel like we're in danger? Because I feel like every single time they're getting it wrong. And I don't know if they're getting it wrong on purpose or what, but to your point, he didn't even have a full visibility to see.
Yeah, because it was dark. That's the other thing I don't understand about the wellness check.
What are you doing?
How during the wellness check you may look around the house, right? Because it was a house. But at the same time did you take the time to knock on the door?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
walk inside, actually do a wellness check. Hello, the police are here.
Lana said it's sad. I can't even fathom. And I feel you. It's like,
what kind of wellness check was that?
And let's talk about some stats as we get into this.
Okay.
All right. So here's some police brutality stats. I saved them because I wanted to go to this. Now everybody knows that there's a state of emergency for vaping, but to date there's only been 605 vaping related deaths. Not even proven, but just there's a possibility that the deaths were caused as a result of vaping. You got Trump and Republicans out there talking about a state of emergency because of vaping. Now, let's keep in mind that vaping is also affecting typically young men between the ages of 19 and 25 white males that are vaping. All right, whatever. Now, just in 2017, police killed 1,147 people. That was just in 2017. There is no state of emergency to improve police procedures as far as how they kill people, right? Also, black people were 25% of those killed, despite being only 13% of the population. So it's already disproportionate as far as how often we're killed due to the right of police brutality than others. But let's go a little bit further with the numbers. There were only 23 days in 2018 where police didn't kill someone. Also, black people are most likely to be killed by police. If that's not a shock to anybody. 3 times more likely. Actually, and the stats show they're 3 times more likely to be killed by police than white people. Also, 21% of black victims were unarmed compared to 14% of white victims. So, you mean to tell me more often than not, the white person is armed, but more often than not, the white person will walk away from that thing with their life intact?
Well, I mean, think about the mass shooters. We've seen them get sandwiches.
Oh yeah, sandwiches, crackers, a pat on the back, some McDonald's.
And it's almost like when the news gets hold of a mass shooter, they're almost like celebrated like they're a celebrity. It's like weird. Like, why do we even give them that much attention? Now, I get it, it's important, but it's like they're almost like celebrated like, you know, we know their name, like they're almost like a celebrity. And I think that's what they want. And then, and let's talk about where you live, right? Because there's a lot of conversation around, well, the people dying is because they live in more violent neighborhoods. Not true. In Buffalo, New York, population is 258,000, percent of non-whites 50%, violent crime rate 12 per 100,000. 0 people killed by the hands of police between 2013 and 2016. Oh, now, a less violent city, Orlando, Florida, 250,000 people, percent of non-white 42%, right? The rate of crime 9 per 100,000. So you have 3 less violent crimes per 100,000 people, yet and still 15 people were shot and killed by Orlando police between 2013 and 2016. So don't say that the violence is in direct reflection to the violent crime, because somehow in Buffalo, New York, they didn't kill anybody, even though they had more violent crime, but somehow they're killing more people in Orlando, Florida, even though they have less violent crime. The numbers don't add up, so now we know it's a true problem with systematically how police view black people. To quote some more stats, 6 times more likely to be killed by police in Oklahoma than Georgia. Also, 13 of the 100 largest U.S. cities, police departments kill black men at a higher rate than the U.S. murder rate. It's crazy. To name a few of them: Reno, Nevada; Santa Ana; Scottsdale, California; Oklahoma City; Hialeah; St. Louis; Spokane; Riverside; Albuquerque. They're killing people at a higher rate than the murder rate. So that means, for all those always talking about, well, it's black on black crime, you're more likely to be killed by police in these cities than you are another gang member or another person that's competing for drug territory. So let's not try to always say it's a crime situation, because the stats prove that there's an obvious problem with this one gang that rocks blue. And I'm not talking about Crips. I'm talking about those police. And they need to be checked. There needs to be some oversight. If we're going to be up in arms about vaping, at 605 deaths collective since vaping started, we're seeing an average of at least 1,100 plus killings by police over the last 10 years. So not just when Obama was in office, not just when Bush was in office, but also with Trump in office. It's getting worse. This is an obvious state of emergency. If people are dying at a higher rate from police than the crime rate, that means the gang to be afraid of is the police department. Can I get an amen? Am I wrong somewhere? No. Simona says, that's crazy, you better talk that ish. Houseway, shaking my head. Lana, I can't even read, I have my glasses on. I can read it for you. Okay. So Lana McKinney, she said, in the example of vaping, it's not hard to change the policy. With police, it's training, curriculum, and infrastructure. And Lana, you do have a point, but you bring me to my next set of stats. See, I came ready for the smoke today. Alright? He wants the smoke. So the problem is there is no accountability. All you have to do is change the accountability of these actions and you'll see it drop. So here's some examples of proven solutions.
We've seen police killings drop by 25%, where it requires officers to use all other means before shooting. Talking about uses of force. Also, we've seen a 25% drop in police killings when it requires all uses of forces to be reported. Also, we see a 22% drop when you're not allowed to use chokeholds and strangleholds. We see a drop when you have to use a use of force continuum in training, and so forth and so on. There's like 8 different examples of different ways to decrease use of force in a deadly force situation to drop that death toll. So there's things that could be done, and they've already been proven. One thing that our friend, go ahead.
Oh. No, go ahead, finish your thought.
One thing that our friend Dr. Rashawn Ray is actually doing in PG County is he's doing training with police to show them how their heart rate, how their emotions respond. They actually put testers and various sensors across the police officer's body, and they go through a VR-like training, and therefore all of their body vitals and all that stuff can be looked at, and they can see the difference between how they walk up to a white person at a police stop versus a person of color at a police stop. And the information and the statistical data is out there to prove that there's a problem with the bias we have. So yes, Lana, you're right. There is training and stuff to be done, and we see that going on with our good brother, Dr. Rashawn Ray. But at the same time, we can't pretend that if we just had accountability protocols out there to send these officers to jail, 99% of the time, these police officers will not be charged and will not be convicted of a crime. And that was as of 2015. And if you don't like my stats, all you have to do is go to useofforceproject.org. Yes, I come ready for the smoke.
I was just going to say, we can see by comparing how police move and operate in the UK versus here. They don't have guns.
Yeah, police officers in UK, London, they don't carry weapons.
And I'm gonna go out here and say I don't think that America is more violent than the UK or vice versa. They have a very similar demographic as far as diverse communities everywhere.
But something that we see in America, and one of the problems also when you look at it from the economy standpoint, is that we have too many guns, but guns are profitable in the US. When you look at where the guns are being made, sometimes it's through the private prison system. Now, you mean to tell me some of your most violent criminals are entrusting them to make arms, to make the battle equipment that we wear in the U.S. Army? It's because there's a tie between our economy and guns, and that's why guns are flooding the U.S. Same problem in Ireland.
And I'm going to go out here and say, and that's why I think probably even our entertainment is reflective of that. We make it seem like blowing up and explosions and shooting people is just like such a cool thing. And people are literally losing their lives.
Hey, what's up, Dad? I see you.
Killings. What I want to talk about a little bit with this.
Let me catch everybody up. If you're just joining, we're talking about the murder of Atatiana Jefferson, who was killed in her home in Fort Worth, Texas. They were called to do a wellness check on her, and somehow they managed to kill her through the window. And if you see the body cam video, she wasn't given enough time to respond to put her hands up. It was like literally,
put your hands up,
pow, pow.
Pow. Like, so
at what point was Shorty supposed to put her hands up?
It wasn't like she had time to really even actually process what you're saying. Because think about it, if you're sitting there comfortably watching TV and someone says put your hands up, first you're going to be startled. So first you're probably going to be like, whoa. And then you're probably going to be like, okay, now I understand this is the police. Boom. But as soon as she did all of that, it was like she was dead. My thing is, with this second situation, I'm hoping that as a community we have learned from the Amber Geiger situation. And I'm serious, guys. I'm going to be completely transparent. If this family decides to hug her in the court of law and not be strategic, I'm going to be highly livid.
Well, this was a male white officer that killed this woman.
I know, but I'm saying I don't want no we forgive in the media. I don't want no I cannot hug you in the media. We don't need none of that. I'm telling you right here, right now, I'm going to be highly upset. As black people, when we are done wrong, yes, if you want to forgive, I believe it's for you. Do it at home. When you are in the court of law, when you are in the media, you need to play chess. This is strategic at the end of the day. Ain't nothing about killing people who look like me, something that I'm going to just turn my cheek and just be like, God bless you. Like, that's not how I'm going to do it.
And let's talk about this forgiveness thing real quick. We're not talking about forgiveness today, but I want to bring this up. I meant to bring this up last week because it was part of our conversation. Even when we look at the exonerated 5, right?
Yeah.
the victim of that crime, the rape, she has not yet come to the media to forgive Corey Wise and all those guys and Raymond Santiago. She has not forgiven them yet for their false imprisonment. She's never once come out and said, oh, I feel sorry for them. This is a shame that this happened to them. This was unjust.
Because she still believes they're guilty.
She still, yeah, exactly. So my thing is, it's crazy how when it's a police officer, especially a white officer, everybody has all this forgiveness, but then you have the exonerated 5 where you have the DNA evidence, which is the most compelling. But then you have also all the other physical evidence that show there's no way that these 5 men, or actually boys, let's not call them men, they were boys at the time.
Were definitely boys.
These boys didn't rape her. The guy comes out and confessed to it, and yet and still, this woman hasn't come out and says, you know what, I forgive for what I thought about you. I forgive you for the crime you didn't commit on me. She still holds her possible...
Not I forgive, more so please forgive me.
Even better, yeah.
Please forgive me for even believing that you did that to me. Please forgive me for speaking out against you for years. Please forgive me for, ruining your name in the mud. Please forgive me for holding malice and hate towards you, realizing that you were innocent. Not I forgive you, please forgive me. She, at this point, is holding anger and malice towards people who didn't even commit a crime. These were boys. Don't know boys from the city want to be messing with you like that? Come on, sis.
And Lana makes a good point here, and I feel you, sis. She said, Jesus forgives, see him first, not me. Put that on God.
But y'all have to, okay, so are we going to talk about Bible today? Because we have another topic to go. We're going to talk about Bible today. Or if you really read your word, for these Christians who always want to run out here and just say, I forgive, God was not no punk like that. Okay? Not saying that forgiving is a punk act. It's not. It takes a lot of courage. But we understand that with God, there has been time and time again with various examples throughout the Bible where God was like, I forgive you, but you must be punished. Right? God made it very clear that when you offended him or when you did something wrong, there is a consequence for your action. And I think that we can forgive, but we still need to enforce consequences for poor actions. No?
But one of the bigger issues is also, once again, and I know for our white audience, I know they get tired of hearing that, but we need you guys to understand this if you're going to be real allies of humans. It's not so much that even at this point of just being allies of black people, but if you're going to be allies of humans, if you're going to be really pro-American, because keep in mind, we're also Americans right here, right? When you see us, don't see a non-American. We are Americans. We pay taxes. We're citizens. Shoot, I fight for my country.
We built these things.
You know what I'm saying? So, we can't we dehumanize the black experience all the time. Mm-hmm. Because yet and still, when there's a black perpetrator, there is no forgiveness to him. There is no, well, I hope he'll be blessed and we're just going to forgive him and hope that he just turns a new leaf.
Give him the book.
You get what I'm saying? It's give him the book. He was an animal. I hope he rots and dies.
We're always referred to as animals.
But it seems more often than not, when the perpetrator is white, especially a member of law enforcement, there's always this, well, I feel bad for him. And I'm really disappointed in police officers that don't believe in this, because at the end of the day, you're an American citizen and your job is to protect and serve. You should not be behind the blue line and allow these police officers to make you guys look bad. If I was a police officer, actually I've been one,
right.
Civilian Army Police Department, which is why I know the 7 levels of force. I personally, if I was still in that role, I couldn't stand by and support other police officers killing unarmed citizens, period. I don't care if they're black or white. But because I am a black man, especially black men, it hits home. Because I personally, and probably every black person here, has been harassed or has some kind of systematic bias pointed towards them when it comes to dealing with the police. And it's crazy.
We all want the Amber Geiger treatment. We do. Who doesn't want the Amber Geiger treatment when you get on the stand? Who doesn't want
I wish I had
people
that
to give them
treatment.
sympathy and empathy and pat you on the back and give me only 10 years knowing I murdered somebody? Who doesn't want the Amber Geiger treatment? But we understand that how you look, and the thing is, we take how we look and how we're treated into our everyday experiences. Meaning, many of us as African Americans, I feel like it's funny because sometimes Wale and I talk about this, where you're not even guilty, but for whatever reason, you're taught to and conditioned to explain yourself all the time. If somebody asks you a question, you know you do anything wrong, you have to always explain yourself.
Why am I explaining myself to you?
And the reason why we do it is because we're always treated like we're guilty. And so naturally we just explain ourselves. So as of lately, I have been purging my mindset of that, and I realized I don't have to explain myself to anybody.
I don't gotta explain.
I can just be who I am and coexist in this world, and I am not a person that has to explain who I am or what I do to you just because you asked me of that. I don't have to do that. But I want us to move on with this whole forgiveness thing about Christianity and what that looks like, because
well, not really forgiveness.
but
moving on with the conversation of violence and how it's perceived.
well, not even just violence, but Christians in general, I feel like will hear something and say, well, that's demonic. And because it's demonic, they disengage and they spread this rhetoric in their church and in their community as something that is bad, something that is negative, and we're not even really educated on what we're talking about. For example, there was a rhetoric going around saying, do not watch The Joker. The Joker is demonic. It's a bad movie. I saw the movie The Joker. I thought it was very, very excellently done and executed. It was an amazing storyline. It was not a thriller. It was not a horror film. Yes, if you're familiar with DC Marvel, Joker is a sinister character. But what this movie does is it actually provides a humanistic kind of viewpoint for Joker, because you're able to see him come from being a man with mental health.
I don't want to give away too much of the movie.
I'm not going to give too much, but you see him transition from somebody who obviously has serious mental health issues, and people in society are literally treating him poorly, and you see him transition to becoming somebody who is, I guess, deemed evil.
And then Simona said, amazing movie.
It was great.
It was great. Joaquin Phoenix did an amazing job. Christopher McKinney said it's primarily about mental health.
Exactly.
Lana said, I saw the movie and I thought it was great. Not demonic at all. Exactly. My dad, Herman Altar, shout out. He said, me and mom were not...
They're not explaining nothing.
We're not explaining... Oh yeah, I feel you. Yeah, we don't explain nothing. And you know, something to bring out about the Joker movie. For those that are quick to say a movie is demonic or not, like, I understand if it's a horror movie and there's a central figure of like the devil or demons.
Yeah,
that's demonic. Demonic. But when we're talking about storytelling from a root, if we're going back to Homer, right, the Odyssey, the Iliad, if we're going back to those old storytellers, where we get the idea of what stories are, they're typically broken down into two types. You have comedies and tragedies. What's the difference between a comedy and tragedy?
Yes.
It's not that one has jokes and one doesn't. Actually, what it comes down to is the ending tragic, or is the ending positive? And if it's positive, they call that a comedy back in the day. If the ending is tragic, they would call it a tragedy. But there is always a layer or a line or something that comes from this play or from this poem that gives like some type of a lesson to be learned. And the lesson to be learned, as Katrina was stating about Joker, this is a tragedy.
Yep.
And in this tragedy, it talks about when someone has mental health issues, how it could push them into realms when untreated or uncared for.
Yes.
Right? A comedy would be a lot of your Kevin Hart movies probably out there where the ending is typically positive, everybody's laughing and dancing at the end of it. Alright? That's basically what it comes down to. All these people want to say that just because it's demonic. Meanwhile, I heard nobody call John Wick demonic. But it's a story of an assassin killing people for money. Or
Sicario.
I mean, you get what I'm saying? No one goes out and call that demonic, but it's the same violence and killing. But so my thing is, if you're going to call a movie like Joker demonic, because that's your right to think and feel the way you do, keep your thinking consistent. You'll watch a movie like Black Hawk Down where they popping heads off and it's violent all day long.
Or Bad
Boys. These same
Boys.
Christians want to demean the Joker movie, and half of you haven't watched it for yourself. You're just hearing the hearsay of someone. There's a problem with that. Let me go to our audience. Pastor Paul, what's up, brother?
The building.
We gotta get Paul. We haven't had Paul in the new set. We gotta get Paul
in the new set. Paul, you're invited. Let us know what day you're free.
Yeah, let us know what day you're free. So we know we got Simona coming. Paul, when you coming? All right, to go to the comments. Chris said, I believe the Joker looks at man's transition from mental health issues to the central figure in a social justice struggle. I like that. I think that's a great point, especially for those that seen the movie, you understand. Lana said, another topic, maybe next week. The song in The Joker was composed by a sexual predator against minors. He may receive money and recognition for what he did in the role. If anything, let's address those kind of things. Like we're talking about demonic stuff. And then I wrote a few things down.
Okay.
When we're dealing with Christians / Republicans, mind you, I am not anti-Republican. But I'm specifically speaking to those Christians that will tie themselves to the Republican Party, saying that this is God's chosen, right? Because there's people that's been chosen by the Democratic Party, I believe, if anything. So let's dig into a couple of these. Pro-life, but not pro-child, right?
Hello.
Don't abort the baby, but we won't do anything to support the baby when it gets here.
Hello.
Pro-war, but not pro-veteran. Quick to be a war hawk. Quick to send jokers out there to die, right? But at the same time, you won't treat the veteran for his health after PTSD. We have to see bodies, brains blown out, but no one wants to treat that for us, all right? Pro-forgiveness for police brutality, but not sympathetic to victims. And we see that with Joshua Brown. Now they're trying to say, oh, well, like he deserved to die because they believe he was part of a drug deal. It was still wrong that he died.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Even if that's true, which it seems like they're trying to slander the victim because of how it relates to police brutality. Also another one, pro-Confederate history, but anti-slavery and systematic racism conversations. So it's whenever we're talking about Robert E. Lee and everyone else, it's, oh, that's historic, we need to talk about it, people should know the history. But the second I talk about how my great-grandfather was probably whipped and chained.
Right.
When we talk about Maryland being a port for slavery.
Right.
When we talk about Virginia. When we talk about how the battle flag was a symbol of hate for slavery because somebody didn't want to do their own work in the field. All of a sudden it's like, maybe we shouldn't put that in the schools. It's kind of harsh. But you want to talk about the Confederacy.
Well, and to follow that, we have so many Confederate racist people, monuments all over Washington, D.C. Do you know how long it took to get Dr. King's monument down there? Over a decade. And it wasn't like we asked the government to fund it. We had our own money too. But they really was like not trying to have a black man on the mall. So I'm just saying.
That's crazy. And I got two more notes. And then I'm going to go to our audience.
Okay.
They're pro-gun. Will even support more guns in school, but anti-pre-K education benefits. Doesn't make sense.
Come on.
Also, one last one. There's an obvious hate for Obama, but will defend the hateful rhetoric of Trump. But let's not forget, while we're talking about pro-Republican and they're always pro-Christian issues, did Obama not pass gay marriage with a Republican House? So that means the people y'all voted for that were supposed to be so Christian, so anti-this, they were the ones that got gay marriage. And I don't have a problem with it. Let people marry who they're going to marry if that's what they're going to do. But let's kind of get our information together first before we start running our mouths. Let's go to our audience.
Okay.
Simona said, this is from IG, Satan works real sneakily, laugh out loud. The mental health issues are demonic, but balance is okay. Clap it up to that.
Yeah.
Then going to Facebook. We got a few of them here.
Back my man said,
no, wait a minute. Chris said, I believe my opinions come from a place of ignorance and are knee-jerk reactions. Paul said, my man said he got notes. I'm here for it. Talk, sir. Talk, sir. I appreciate it. Lana said, one with the smoke today. Yeah, I got it.
More notes, sir. Run down the list.
And then Chris said, there is a street in Kansas City that's named after a man that is the father of restrictive covenant. You have to explain that for me. What that is.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the father of restrictive covenants. Which is ridiculous.
Okay.
Explain to me what restrictive covenants are. I think I've heard of it.
I just want to just say, as Christians, I feel like it's better to investigate for yourself. Meaning, I'm not gonna. For example, if someone says there is a haunted house with a whole bunch of cut heads or whatso have you, I'm probably not gonna investigate that for myself. But I do think if you are a Christian leader and you're going to tell somebody not to do something, I think you should not operate in a spirit of fear, because if you call yourself a Christian, you know that you have God's authority permeating within you and that you need to investigate for yourself. That way when you're talking to your sheep, the congregation, it's actually true. I personally like the movie The Joker because it talks about and shows mental health issues. There are so many people on the edge of losing their ish. Life in America is very difficult. We have people who have parents who don't support them. They've been molested. They are one check away from being homeless. They're being talked about. They're being bullied. Their wife or husband is beating on them, won't let them see their kids. All types of things. People are having suicidal thoughts daily, or they're getting picked on for how they look. And they have to walk around with these negative thoughts. And I feel like we don't put that much money into mental health services. And medication alone is not going to help somebody. This requires a deeper healing inside. And so my point being is that The Joker movie shows that when you don't address mental health issues at the root, and the person has a lack of support, what can happen? They can take matters into their own hand and go out here and become mass shooters. So while we're over here talking about don't support it, I think it's a good educational lesson, if anything, so as Christians we can figure out a way to be better understanding. Too many of us are judgmental, and I don't understand how you claim to be a Christian, but you're always, look at her, look at what she got on, look at what he doing. And it's like, who gave you the authority to be God?
The thing that
who are you?
But the thing that this tells me is that a lot of Christians are unaffirmed and they don't read their word.
No.
So if you were to go to hold up, let me educate y'all a little bit more. If you were to go to 2 Samuel, right? There's a story in the Bible about King David's children. One is Tamar. Right? Tamar is 13 at the time. She is raped by her brother Amnon because he said he's in love with his sister. Mm-hmm. And if you guys don't know the story, go read your word. Alright? So you won't watch the Joker because he kills some people in response to being bullied. But meanwhile, in the Bible, you see a story where someone rapes his own sister. Then his brother kills him. And then his brother goes against his father, King David. It was all kind of, this is some empire type stuff going on in the Bible.
Didn't David have a man kill his wife?
I mean, Bathsheba, yeah. Okay. So let's not act like these stories are not even more tragic and insane that are in the Bible. But this is the kind of stuff that happens. So you'll reject violence in a movie, but then the very Bible talks about a certain kind of violence going on in the house of David, who was a man after God's own heart, but had all this crap going around in his home. Okay? But because you don't study your word, and you lack knowledge, alright, you will soon be destroyed by that lack of knowledge. So I'm going to need y'all to get up on y'all Bible game if y'all going to be out here on social media and going to your congregations telling them what's evil and demonic if you haven't read Samuel 2 yet. Because
you know what I think is demonic? I think it is demonic and evil when you call yourself a Christian and there is no proof of elevation or growth in your personal walk. Year after year, you're talking about the same people. Year after year, you having the same stank face. I mean, there are things that we should be doing year after year to evolve as Christians. If you claim to be a Christian, you got to deal with certain spirits that are over you. Insecurity, jealousy, people who talk about the pastor or you flirting with people or whatever. You know, that stuff is not necessarily positive per se. So I'm just saying, focus on your own home and stop running around here being ignorant, because the same way you're ignorant about the daggone Joker movie, you're ignorant about your politics. You worried about who a man is sleeping with as opposed to worrying about other issues that are pertinent to the community that you live in. Like, do you pay taxes on trash or streets? Or who your police chief is, things of that like that, you know.
So, and let's go to our audience real quick. So Chris said, back to restrictive covenants. He said restrictive covenants were deeds on homes that limited whom could buy a house in a particular neighborhood. That's good to know. I didn't know that was a term for it. Kind of like goes back to redlining. Herman said, ditch the gavel, my brothers and sisters. Agreed, Katrina. Then we have Chris said, racially restrictive covenants, exclusionary covenants.
Okay.
Then he said his name was J.C. Nichols.
Okay.
So you guys want to know more, look up J.C. Nichols.
Look him up.
And then that was all that we had from there. So yeah, I mean, just to kind of echo some of Katrina's points, I think sometimes we could be so judgmental, but I think we're just leaving a lot of grace that's not available on the table. And I think we should investigate that more. And we're so quick to spread the craziest things. Like, one of the weirdest things to me was this whole idea that Michelle Obama could have possibly been a man.
That was wild.
Right?
That was like...
It's because I've talked to people that really will believe that, but then they don't believe that Donald Trump has said racially motivated things on the campaign trail, which you can look up readily on YouTube or look on his Twitter feed.
That is just.
But
I just can't even. I don't even want to.
But you can't even find anything somewhat remotely backing this asinine belief, like Michelle Obama possibly being a man. But you'll believe that Trump is God's chosen. And then while we're talking about God's chosen for the Christian people out there, I remember the people choosing Saul, right, to be their king.
Yeah.
But God's intended plan for the kingdom of Israel, for all my Christian folks out there, was that he would be the king and he would administer his word through the prophet. But they wanted to be like everybody else and elect themselves a king. So they chose Saul, not because he demonstrated character or somehow followed the rules and the posture of the children of Israel, but because he was a head and shoulders above all men and he was good looking. So they just like the fact that he was tall, basically tall, dark, and handsome. All right? So we have to be very careful when we start saying that God has anointed this person and I believe God is this person, especially when you start talking about the issue of politics, because time and time again, if you're going to use the Bible as a reference point for this, they always got it wrong. They always got it wrong. Going to our comments, coming off IG, we have Simone, she said, young, so disrespectful. For y'all don't know what young is, that's a little DC vernacular.
To be an example of treatment and principles that people often skip over. The why. They'll receive, hold on, I just saw it.
They always skip over the why, i.e. the negative stories.
Of course.
Yeah.
People always do the scriptures that work for them.
Yeah.
So I think we touch base on that. I feel like
if you have any more comments, feel free to throw them at us. But you know, while we're talking about movies and cinema, right? So I seen this happen early this morning before church. I seen people posting stuff about Power. Shout out Power. Don't worry, no spoilers here. I ain't gonna do that to y'all. So there's been this thing on social media where people think it's cute to ruin movies and to ruin television shows for other people. Right? They think it's funny. They get a laugh at it. Like, ha! I just told you that so-and-so this or so-and-so that. This character this.
Infinity War. And that gets people off.
So my thing is, folks, can we stop doing this? It is childish.
Don't be a jerk.
I talked to somebody today. I'm not going to call him out. I should, though. But he posted something this morning, right? First a cousin did, and then he did. And it's kind of like, and I called him today about it, like, yo, man, like, somebody need to pop you, man. Why you doing that? And he's like, man, they do it to me, so I'm doing it back because they be ruining it for me. And it's like, come on, Slim. Like, let's have some etiquette about this. If it's a movie, can we at least wait 2 weeks? At least 2 weeks. If it's a movie, can we at least wait 2 weeks before we start talking about it via social media? Or can we put some type of warning, like, hey, spoiler alert for XYZ, so people won't read your post?
Right.
Second thing, if it's a TV show, can we at least wait like the next day? Because I get it. In the case of Stars, if you have the app or if you have on demand with your cable subscription, those shows are available to you the midnight of that day.
Give it a full 24 hours.
But at this point, Power hasn't even come on regular television yet. It won't come on until 9 p.m. That's crazy to me.
And everybody wants to just put it out there and ruin it for everybody else. So I just think that out of respect, and even when you weren't able to watch the show when it came out, just be quiet. Talk about it with your friend that already saw, but don't post it on social media because it ruins it for everybody else. And at the end of the day, you don't want to ruin the like, for example, I am grateful for how Game of Thrones did their episodes, because I can tell you right here, right now, if somebody would have told me that Jon Snow was going to kill Daenerys before I had an opportunity to see it, I would have been livid. For example, Juan had already saw Game of Thrones and knew that the Red Wedding, that it was about to be all types of stuff. I'm grateful to this man that he didn't ruin it for me. I had no idea what was coming on. So when I finally saw it, I called him 2 years after the fact. I'm like, did you know they killed the mom, the baby, in the stomach, and everything? Like,
because you don't ruin stuff for people. So that was the experience you had. That was a big moment. When it's time to watch it. Lana said, stay off social media if you haven't seen it after 3 to 5 days.
Check
but here's the thing. It's like,
check us
but
out.
In the case of some people are related to you when they post this crap. So you get alerts about their post.
You do get alerts.
So then you look at the alert, and then they are spoiling a show for you. You know.
So that's.
And then I love what Simona says. He said, "Laugh out loud. We can't be friends if you ruin my show." Hashtag by Felicia. I feel you, cause like, it's like, come on, man, like, especially like TV shows. Like, I'm a huge Marvel fan. And it's like, you wait, you anticipate these things, and somebody ruins it.
You have to see it opening weekend, or it's going to be...
Like, one of the worst things that ever happened to me, and it's one of the greatest movies with a surprise ending, right? Spoiler alert, it's been out forever, so hopefully I'm not ruining it for you, but the movie Book of Eli, Denzel Washington.
Oh, okay.
I remember before it came out, it was this, and I remember I was stationed in San Antonio at the time, and this guy gave away the movie before I had a chance to watch it. He was like, yo, and that was crazy at the end when you realize he's blind. So when you're watching the movie the first time, because you already know the big twist at the end,
the climax.
It ruins it for you when you're watching it because now you know. You get what I'm saying? Like some things you just have to experience fresh for yourself. And
so before we move to the next topic, because I know y'all like to talk about relationships, I want to just raise two
Lana
things.
says she hits the block button quick.
In addition to watching The Joker, it was a good movie. You guys should also watch Gemini Man, very good movie. And you should also watch Raising Dion, really
Raising Dion is a great show on Netflix. Shout out Michael B. Jordan.
He's executive producer. So, because we know you guys love relationships, drum roll, boom, boom.
Let's throw a little relationship today. We got a little bit of time.
15 minutes left, or more so like 17 minutes left. Let's talk about relationships. I will kick it off. So, let's talk about how do people convey and or communicate their expectations. For example, if you are dating somebody and you are not in a headspace where you want to be committed, how do you manage your expectations? I hear a lot of guys get upset by saying, I wine and dine shorty, I took her out, I treated her great, yet she didn't want to indulge me or engage me in sexual activity, and they're upset. I hear a lot of women say, you know, I dated this man, I didn't know he was dating other people, I wanted to not waste my time. Hashtag, no one can waste your time. You only can waste your time. So I believe if you invest time in somebody and you're not asking the questions or qualifying questions to help manage your expectations, the onus is on you, not on the other individual.
This is hilarious. So Chris said, be straight, I want you. And then Lana said, communicate it out loud.
Gotta be okay with rejection. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No,
people get so upset, they'll post things and subliminals, and then also we are the generation where we don't like to pick up the phone to clarify. I feel like there are so many relationships that probably could be resolved or have some kind of closure, but people refuse to communicate on the phone. People text stuff and have a text war. Hello, when you text somebody, have a text war, you're not sure of the person's tone or what they mean. Like, for example, I can text you like, yeah, whatever, and that could be like, haha, yeah, whatever. Or it could be like, yeah, whatever. There's a big difference.
Well, because you can't.
I'm just saying.
It's hard to get emotional context with texting. I mean, I personally, I'm old school. Pick up the phone and call me. You know, let's have a conversation. I think conversations are key. And even if your intentions are less than honorable for you men, and for you women too, because there's different ways to be less than honorable, right?
Hello.
So, you know, for you guys, if all you're looking for are cheap night thrills, okay, just state your intentions. Believe it or not, and I'm not advocating for this in any kind of way, but believe it or not, there's a lot of women out there just throwing that thing out there. I mean, all you do is look at IG. I mean,
well, man, there's a lot of women nowadays who profess to having the same mindset. I'm just looking for a good time. So my thing is, as opposed to trying to con somebody into giving you their body, you need to be transparent about what you want. But I also want to say to women, we can't get mad at guys when they value our body for $1 when you're always trying to shade another woman based upon what her man makes. Like, if your shade comment is, well, that's why your man is broke, or that's why you mess with broke dudes, or your comment is, I only mess with men who make X amount of money or not, you're now valuing your body for $1. So it's like, can you be upset when the man is letting you know, like, hey, you're only good because I have the money, I supply a good time, and this is an arrangement. Like, I feel like when you are a boss chick, you don't look at a man for what he can bring. You look at yourself for what you can bring. Like, personally, me speaking, I'll be good regardless. I am a boss chick. And I feel like if that intimidates a man, then that's just, oh well. I'm not going to be running around looking at a man to see what he can do for me. What can I do for myself? I am of the mind, I never expect anybody to do something that I can't do. So if I have not reached 6 figures, why do I expect to have a man that has reached 6 figures? Because
can I say that louder for the women in the back?
I'm just saying, because it's like, once you get to 6-figure status, are you going to be able to help manage that 6 figures? Because at the end of the day, it's about managing your money and having a good financial habits. And if you don't have that, then why do you think that you should be privileged for him to welcome you into his hard earnings that he's worked hard for? Who are you? Who are you?
And Lana said, as for me, if something goes left, I openly communicate my expectations.
Hello.
Then give you a chance to, and then give them another chance. Lana also says, she said, cuts down on confusion. Straight up. Chris is laughing at me. So, look, and here's the thing. When we start talking about like relationships and money, especially coming from women, right? So, and then and also men that are looking for sex. So here's the thing: when you start making it transactional,
That's
right?
what it is.
I get a dinner, you know, I get some booty, you know what I'm saying, whatever like that. Then you know you kind of cheapen that experience, and then people get upset because you happen to find out later on that maybe you really like the chick.
Yeah.
But you given this expectation that you're balling at a level that you're really not,
Right.
or whatever. So now
Right.
she expects you to continue with this balling-like behavior. That's why I like long walks in the park. For one, parks are free, and then you can really talk to see where somebody's head at. And then also
Right.
for women that you know push out the sexual advances, right, to receive XYZ monetary gift.
Bag.
What happens is when you become transactional with your body, you got to realize then men are viewing you as an object or a commodity.
Right.
And you know what men with money do with objects and commodities? They treat them into newer versions. So what happens is you may get the ring, you may get the last name, but at 45, when naturally your breasts start to sag, that booty not as tight as it used to be, he gonna be like, it's a whole new team coming out every July, coming out of grad school, coming out of college, and he gonna get that younger version of that booty.
And he gonna
Because
say, adios, senorita.
and I think it's important. I have 2 daughters, and I'm always teaching them that, you know, your value is here. It's not here. It's not back there. You get what I'm saying? Because that eventually that's going to fade away, these looks. And if someone only values what they see about you, in due time, you're going to be the old version. And guess what? When it comes to women, people typically don't look for classics. They want the new joint off the shelf.
Right. But I don't understand why. What is it that people are having difficulty with communicating? If y'all can give me some examples, let me know in the comment section, because I'm not understanding how hard or how difficult it is to say, hey, I'm not interested in long term, I just want butt. Okay, let that woman make her decision.
Well, Chris got a comment to that already. He said women have to take responsibility in these situations.
Well, I said that
also,
earlier.
he said stop playing the victim. Hello.
Yikes.
And then Lana,
Yikes.
Lana coming back with it a little more. She says, I don't want dinners paid. I don't want dinners paid for my student loan.
I know that's right.
Wow.
Now, that's a real good transaction.
$2 for dinner, nah. Coffee and conversation. Use the bag for my come up.
Listen.
And I think that's just, we have to start valuing.
Hold on, can we sit there for a second, Lana? I'm feeling your vibe, sis. My thing is, if you're going to be transactional...
And Herman said to agree. So that's from wisdom saying that, hey, he agrees with this.
If you're going to be transactional, yes, pay for my student loans, buy me some property in my name, buy me a, what do you call it when you cash me in? A savings bond. That's how it's transactional. Forget about a daggone bag, honey. Like, if you're going to be transactional, my thing is, why can't you just communicate what you want? I also think, honestly, guys, I think that we need to stop rushing into commitment and rushing into marriage and really start assessing the person's mindset.
Amen.
Because I think what happens is people get caught up in a fairy tale. Like, I think people want something to work, but they're not really paying attention to see if it's really working. And because of that, they tie themselves and get into these business deals with somebody who's not worth it, or have kids with somebody who ain't worth it. And it actually does you more harm. At the end of the day, who you choose can either be a blessing or a liability. Certain men and women are a liability. Period, point blank.
And certain
men and women are a blessing.
Shout out to Herman. He said that was his wife. He said that was mom. He's referring to my mom, his wife. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? And
certain women are a liability. I don't know how y'all dudes be doing it.
And like the shout out my parents, they were a helpmeet to one another. The woman you're with, they should make you better, right? Shout out to a Raheem Devon song. They said Mo Better. But he talks about in the song about how a woman makes him better. And in a relationship, the two of you should make each other better. There shouldn't be a situation where the other person is bringing you down. I just think characteristics of people is something that we should value more than their stats. Too often we look to see what organization someone belongs to. We look at their money. And I say this a lot. We look at their money. We look at their education. But just because someone is broke doesn't mean they're not a good steward of money. They just might need a little more money coming in, but they're going to do smart things with it. Someone can have a lot of money, but if they're squandering it on Gucci belts, and there's nothing wrong with having nice things, But there are some people, they don't live a lifestyle or make the kind of money to truly purchase those things. But we see all their money going to good times. Unfortunately, this is a testament to Howard Homecoming Weekend, right? Shout out HU, but let's be honest about something. A lot of people have spent thousands of dollars this weekend having a good time. Meanwhile, you never hear about Harvard homecomings and Stanford homecomings being lit. But you know what they got? They got endowments.
$1 billion endowments.
In endowments.
Billions.
Meanwhile, Howard doesn't have billions in endowments.
Does Howard even have $1 million endowment?
I don't know, but I know that every celebrity was in town. Kanye and Kim was in town. They did Sunday service there. I seen people leaving out of this apartment building. Gucci belts.
They sure was. They was out on the.
I'm talking about.
Wait a minute,
like a fashion show.
No, they had professional cameras. No, real talk. People was getting down on the ground taking pictures with their flyers and for Howard Homecoming. Like they look great. They look great.
But then ask some same people, how much money do you give back to Howard towards endowments, towards scholarships, towards improving the value of the aesthetic of that campus? And very few of us are giving back to our black historical black colleges and universities. So it's, once again, it's never about how much you have, because obviously people made enough money or they borrowed enough money to be fly, but then it's a value system. What do you do with the money when it's in hand? Are you going to use it to make the next generation better? Or are you just going to be fly for a weekend? And half of those people will not even wear those clothes again because they was all over IG with it and they don't want to be seen in it again.
Well, I think...
Let's go to the comments real quick.
Okay.
And then I want to hear your thought. So Chris says, sometimes in reverse, laugh out loud. Herman said, my wife has been my biggest cheerleader from day one. So amen to that. That's why they still married for 33 years. Lana said, that's a great point. And then Herman said, for richer and poor, in good times and bad times. Preach it. Preach it, because these young folks out there need to hear that.
Yeah, because in bad times, a lot of times people are like, I'm out. He or she.
Because I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Happy is a fleeting emotion.
He don't have no good job, or she doesn't have this, that, and the other. All I'm saying is that I think that communication is really key and fundamental, and for whatever reason people have a hard time communicating or coming to resolve. I think the problem is that people are selfish, so as they're communicating what I want, what I need. They're not communicating with, okay, this is what I desire, this is what you desire, how can we come to a compromise, or how can I be of service? You know, I've done these different things. And at the end of the day, I also think that we need to respect being alone. If you don't know how to be alone, you can't be with nobody else. One thing my mom always taught me and my sister, like, it's okay if you are single. It's not a big deal. I think there's too much pressure on women at the age of 30. They have a panic attack. I'm not married. I need to get married. I need to have babies. My thing is, if you have less drama in your life, bless God for that. Seriously. Bless God for that.
This is a great question from Lana from Facebook. She said, why isn't Yarfest or the party surrounding homecoming, why do they not go to the endowment fund?
I don't know. That would be smart.
Because people are starting to get a quick come up, and I know some of these party promoters. Some of them make good money, but some of them, and I used to be someone that party promoted back in college. But a lot of times, some people are just breaking even. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just like the flash and the scene of being like, yeah, I was here. This was my party. Look at me.
Rah, rah, rah.
Because we live in a society where sometimes they value the hype and the likes more so than the bottom line of how much money is made from a thing. It's crazy. We have people that never paid the Nitty Gritty show any mind, but hyped us when they saw that we were involved at CDC. Meanwhile, this newsflash here, we had to pay to go to CDC. Now, we were represented as media there. We did have that tag, but still had to pay to be a part of Congressional Black Caucus meeting, CBC, right? So we're at CBC, and people like, just because it was a good look, folks is like, oh man, y'all made it, y'all did it. Hello. Just to let y'all know, the Nitty Gritty Show is still looking for sponsors. So if you have a small business and you want us to shout us out weekly, if you want us to post about you on social media to expand your business footprint, we are looking for sponsors daily. Just wanted to put that out there real quick. We didn't make it just because we was at CBC. But once again, people are more impressed by looks than what is.
But the thing is, if we was to be on Breakfast Club tomorrow, everybody mama all of a sudden would be like, oh, I remember, I know the Nitty Gritty show, yada yada, but where you at on Sunday?
Shout out to McKinney's, shout out to the Altars.
Shout out to the day ones, y'all know.
Shout out to the Thompsons, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Simona, Steve, Sven.
Yes.
Bunch of y'all been representing since the beginning, extended family.
So
yeah, we love y'all. So going to our comments, right? Chris said we need a cultural movement. Facts. Lana said if they don't, they reach out and get it going. Yeah, and so we need to figure out a way to get that going. And then Chris put down there the 100 emoji. So and we're about to run out of time. IG, we're about to sign off. Yep. We love y'all. Thanks for being on, Simona. We'll see you next week. I'm gonna be calling you too.
I'm sure the battery is like.
Oh yeah, I mean it's about to end naturally on its own. Okay. But Simona, we'll see you next week. You're gonna be here, right? Please be here.
So yeah, guys, just leave comments, like, share, continue to share. We're looking for people to come on the show. We talked about it before. We'll share more details about TNGS Extended Family. We're looking to broaden our reach with more content. So if you are a part of the Extended Family, we have no problem with you guys engaging in a way. We'll be reaching out with more details soon. Other than that,
we got some new pictures coming soon. We got a photo shoot coming up in November.
And we're going to be doing...
so we're going to be redoing our intro video and outro video again, kind of updated.
And once a month, we're going to we're going to have a little food tasting to see if we can decide.
Oh yeah, some new content coming. We got more content coming.
Was it cooked by a black grandma or not? You know, we got good taste buds. I can tell you if something was cooked by a black grandma or not.
And thank you, Lance. He said, see y'all next week. Hashtag let's find a sponsor.
Yes.
So yes, the Nitty Gritty Show is looking for sponsors, right? You can buy a piece of the equipment that we need to help the show run better.
We're still looking for to get a
you can do a financial donation. We don't look for a set amount. Depending on how much you give.
Oh, it's Chris' birthday. Oh wow, everybody's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Chris.
Happy birthday.
So there was a lot of October birthdays. To run down just a few of them.
Chantal. Tiffany.
Tiffany, your cousin.
Yes, Terrell. Not Terrell, my brother.
Chris, your brother.
And then Chris Hawkins, the other Chris Hawkins.
Shout out to my dad who was on the show today. His birthday was October 7th. Herman Altar.
Melissa's birthday was this month as well.
Yeah, so it was a lot of birthdays out there. A lot of October birthdays. So shout out all the October birthdays. If we didn't call you about name, hey, shout out to you. We love y'all. Dope. I'm hoping y'all having a blessed month. Before we leave, y'all know I always leave out with a little bit of tunes. I've been feeling this El Chapo by Jim Jones. It's been out for a while, but it was actually a dope rap album. So not all of you listen to rap, but the acoustics of music in here is dope. Look, it's your boy Jay DeCosta.
It's your girl Katniss.
And together we are the Nitty Gritty. This is El Chapo, Love of the Hustle featuring Trav. Jim Jones, El Capo. Boy got bars too. Yeah. And I like the fact it gives me like a Marvin Gaye feel with the drums and the percussion. Yeah. You're welcome, Dad. He said thanks, Monica Katrina, for the birthday shout out. I meant to shout you out last Sunday, but we got so caught in conversation it never happened. So look, we out, y'all. We love y'all. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week, 8 o'clock, same time.